Hey folks, it's Fridgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon. I am just going to bring the Deutz tractor on over this way a little bit. We're going to line it up here with this short work, and then we're going to set the hired help going, and I'm hoping, really hoping that he turns right at the end of the row and does the little short work up through here. However, as we all know, the hired help is a law unto itself at all times, and it is going to go the right way. Excellent. Okay, we needed to just do those short runs there, and then we can get going with our baling. Before I go and do the baling, though, I'm actually going to take our little IMT over here. The IMT 533, which is almost identical in every way to the Massey 35. It does have some differences with the hitch. There is some slight alterations with the hitch, and there were a couple of other alterations that it did as well. But it is essentially a Massey 35. And that is what we've got right here. We're going to race this one back down the hill over this way. And at least we've got it back to the yard. I might not actually, well, I was going to say might not. I'm not going to actually hose the thing off and clean it and tidy it and put everything away at the moment, because I would like to just keep going with our work up in the field. So we will actually clean this one up and put it away at a later date. I'll bring it down to there. We'll just stop that one there, and then we can switch back over this way. How are you doing? You're doing just fine. So I can go back onto this tractor over here, and what I'll do is I'll just start up and I will do a little bit of balering. I'm gonna baler up that little tiny bit down there. There we go. And now back up the hill. This is not something you would normally want to try and do on a hill, reversing up like that. You're just going to spin and slide everywhere and basically just destroy the grass. You wouldn't do that. You would not go and do that. But what I want to do is I just want to bail up a little bit along here while that rake is working, and then once he's gone and done just that last little bit, we'll jump back over onto the rake again. We'll rake the short bit down there that has yet to be done, and then finally we can take the tractor back to the yard. We can unhitch the rake and we can swap over and put the plough going again and keep going with ploughing up that big field down there. Then we can jump back up here and we can carry on doing a little bit more baling. So let me get over to, you know what, I'm just going to stop there like that, and I'm going to jump straight over to you, and we're going to stop. There, so we've got the short work done. We would just carry on and go and do all of the long runs now. Again, we don't need you to do the long runs again. We need you to just stop where you are, Sunshine. You've done a wonderful job, but you're going to get carried. If you try and do too much more, you're basically just getting carried away. And we don't want you getting carried away. So we can run down along this one and just do this little bit here. There isn't anything else anywhere else in the field. This is the last bit, so we'll be able to come over here and do this right at the end of our field. We've also got a little tiny bit there right in the middle, which is nothing really. We may even end up leaving that behind, just because. Okay, I could fold this thing up and go whizzing all the way along there, but I don't really want to drive along the side of the steep field any more than I've actually got to. So what we'll do is we'll come down over this way, and we'll take the exit from the field, coming down here. Before we actually go all the way out, though, we can now fold this one up. We're not on the side of the hill, so it's a little bit more stable where we are. It's not very heavy on the top ends of this one, so stability-wise, it'd probably be fine being folded up and driving along the side of the steep field. It wouldn't cause any major problems. It's just, when it comes to steep ground, don't take chances. Alright, don't mess around, don't take chances. Steep ground, you've only got to make one mistake, and then it could be all over. Like, it is a very dangerous thing. Working on steep ground is very dangerous. You've constantly got to be aware You can't just make a silly mistake and think, oh, well, I probably shouldn't have done that, and get away with it. You may be able to once or twice, but steep ground is incredibly dangerous. You don't take chances on steep ground. Just don't do it. It's just not worth it. It is absolutely not worth taking chances when you're working steep ground with a tractor. You've got to be careful. You've got to be sensible with it. And so we're not going to take our chances up there. We're not going to take chances on that steep ground. We're going to play it safe whenever we possibly can. And that way, you know, we will be able to continue on farming for a long time. Because it's the people that take those chances, it's the people that make the silly mistakes, that do end up cutting their farming career rather short. And you don't want to do that. You absolutely don't want to do that. It's not a nice thing. So we will bring you over here. We'll lower the plow into the ground again, and we will go along this way. I don't think I'll do any more than this. I'm hoping that's going to be enough that we will be able to plow all of this field up. Get the whole thing done. Bring that on round the corner there a little bit, and just up into the top of that little triangle right there. And then I will lift out, turn round, and we can set the hired help going. They are going to keep working on ploughing this field, because remember, we've had maize grown in this field now, so we we need to do some ploughing. If you have a look in here and we go to our soil composition over here, we need to do some ploughing. Unfortunately, we also need to put lime on the field, which I'm not quite so happy about. So let's just set you going down there. The reason I'm not so happy about that is because our lime spreader is our fertilizer spreader. It's just leap elegantly like a gazelle over that wall. That's our lime spreader, is that tiny little thing right there. And it's a very time-consuming process going backwards and forwards doing the lime spreading. I'm thinking that we might try and do it anyway, because if we have a look in the shop in here, where's the fertilizer technology in there, our choices for lime spreader, I've got that one, which will take lime, that does up to 27 kph, by 3, I'm assuming that's Stevie. That's a Stevie one. I didn't really want to use a Stevie one. Oh. Hang on a minute. We've got a non-Stevie one right here. I don't want to use Stevie mods in this series. They're too fast. They're not realistic. But this one here, this is 3,000. Like the Stevie one right there. Actually, I don't even know if that is a Stevie one. Probably it was. Yeah, that is a Stevie one. Right, let's go back. But we've got this Coon right here, the Axis 402 Plus. It's $16,500, so it's not the cheapest of machines, but it's got a reasonable capacity on it, and we've got an extension there to 1,900 litres, 2,700 litres, 3,200 litres right there. It does cost us 20 grand to buy that bad boy, but that one with 3,200 litres in it, working width of 15 metres, we can... Oh, wow, you can actually increase the working width. Does it have a little change on here? Does it do anything? Do you see anything different with it? I don't see anything different with the working width, but a working width 24 meters, I am more than happy to take that. It doesn't... That one doesn't have an upgrade on it, though. It doesn't, like... I don't see a visual upgrade anywhere for the bigger working width. $20,000. Right there. Transport wheels. Oh, I like that. We would want a cover on it. We'd want a cover. We do get rain around here, so yes, we'll have a cover on that. That's 20,500. Anti-mud guards. Yeah, we'll add them in as well. I'm loving this machine. Right, that's going to be the one that we're going to get. It's 21,000 it's going to cost us, so it's going to be a few less cattle that we're going to have to buy, but it does mean that we'll get that field done a whole lot faster. So we will get that one in a bit. We're not going to do that one just now. We're going to go up here, and we're going to carry on with our baling for a little while. I like to break, like I said last episode, I don't want to just be doing baling for the entire time. I'd like to break it up a little bit if we can, and have a bit of variation in our gameplay. So we will... Ooh, I wonder if I can get that little bit of grass that is out there on the lane. Can I get that? Can I get the little bit that is out there on the lane, or is it going to say that I don't own the field? It did let me get it before it switched to you don't have access to this land. Right, we will haul ourselves up here like this, and we will go racing down across the field here. I'm in kilometers an hour. I'm going to switch that over to miles because we are in the US, so we want to be doing this in miles per hour, don't we? There, so we are hauling down across the field at 12 miles an hour. A very respectable speed to be bailing at down across the field. No complaints to that whatsoever. Let's bring you in round here. Let's have a close look at you as you go down across the field here. Look at this. Look at that bad boy there. Is that not a thing of absolute beauty right there? I think it is. I think that is absolutely beautiful. Something I did forget to do is I forgot to go and fertilize that field before I started doing the plowing. So what we will do instead is we will buy our new fertilizer spreader. We will return the other one to the shop and we will sell it. Then we will buy the new one and we will have it delivered up here. And then once we've delivered the new fertilizer spreader up here after the plowing is done, we'll get the plowing done first. We will then spread fertilizer across the whole field. I've never seen a bale come out the end of a baler like that before. Never seen that happen before, not once. I will continue on. We'll finish the ploughing, then we will spread fertilizer on the field, and then we will do the lime spreading on the field after that, and then we'll get the cultivator going, we will cultivate the field, and then we can get the seed drill going, and we can sow our next crop. And we need to decide whether we're going to be growing a... Excuse me. We need to decide if we're going to grow a oilseed crop, not an oilseed, a protein crop for the pigs, or if we're going to be doing wheat or barley or something like that, because we are going to need some more straw before too long as well. Straw is another thing that we're going to be wanting some of. Let's bring you back in along this run. This is the last two of the really, really long runs. Actually, no, there are a couple of longer runs over there as well, top side of the rock. We've got a couple more that we will need to do. We get most of the long runs done. We might actually, you know, I think we are going to finish the baling today. I think we'll get all of the baling finished today, and then we can start working on other tasks tomorrow. Once the baling is finished, we then put our timescale back up to 5 times speed, which is our standard speed for having time ticking by. And until we get to actually planting that field down the bottom there. We'll have a look in a minute. I'll finish these 2 runs. I'll do this run, I'll do one more run up across the field. Then we'll have a look and we'll see what we're planting next. Depends entirely on what crops we've got in storage. If we've got a huge mountain of wheat and barley in storage, then we will probably go for one of the protein crops. I don't remember what we've got of those. We could grow sunflowers in theory. However, I don't have any plans to grow sunflowers because we are sort of where I'm looking at. Like, we've got mountains here and there's some snow on those mountains. Where there's very, very few, if any, deciduous trees around us. We're in pine country. So we're up in the northern states, going by the trees and by the mountains, and we're not far. I would say that we're not far from the Rocky Mountains. That would be my guess, is that we're near the Rocky Mountains, and the climate near the Rocky Mountains would not be suitable for growing. I mean, technically, I suppose we might not be able to get away with growing quite the crops that we have been growing here, but you know, we are allowing a small quantity of artistic license for what we're doing. However, I do feel that growing sunflowers would be going a step too far. I don't think the climate around here would support sunflowers, same as I don't think it would support cotton either. So we're going to wait just a cotton picking moment, and we're not going to pick any cotton. And neither are we going to be picking sunflowers. Those two are off the menu. Now, what I'd like to do next is I actually wanted to go in on that row right there. Not this one. Not this one. This one here. I want to go on this row. The reason I want to go on this row is because that will work out perfectly for just doing these 4 without having to turn too sharp. I mean, yes, I do see the irony of turning really, really, really sharply in order to get onto this row so that I could avoid turning sharply while I'm on these rows. That was not lost. Was not lost on me doing that little maneuver. But what's done is done. So let's not worry about it unduly. Let's not concern ourselves with things that are beyond our control at this point. Yes, admittedly, I can learn from my mistake, but there's no point in beating myself up over it. There is absolutely no point whatsoever in beating myself up over it. And we will come down here. I'm going to get that little bit off to the right-hand side, another little tiny bit that's been left. Like that, I'll grab that, and then it looks like I'm going to just drive straight into the big stone, which I'd like to avoid doing. So instead, I will jackknife the baler as I bring it round backwards and damage the PTO once again. I'm very good at damaging the PTO. And this poor baler, the abuse that it has taken since I've gotten hold of it is quite astonishing, really. I really should be more careful with my baler. I really should. We'll run up this row here, I think. We'll take a run all the way across the field. Then we'll come back over and we'll tidy up. We'll do the other 4 runs. But before I do that, I just want to take a quick step into here. So we got 63,000 litres of wheat and 12,000 litres of barley in there. We've got 30,000 litres of beans, but we don't have any sunflowers, which you can't grow. We also don't have any canola, which would be really be the one that we want to grow next, I would say, is grow canola. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, beans or canola, but canola is better suited for the colder climate, I believe. I might be wrong on that. I'm not really sure how with soybeans and canola, what it's like with warmer climates. I think soybeans do better in warmer climates than canola does, than the oilseed rape. Although that is actually technically 2 separate crops. The oilseed rape is the original crop, and it's one that is still grown in large parts of the world, but due to selective breeding, especially in Canada and the US, what you plant is now actually called canola. It has a lot less bitterness in it. It's a lot less bitter than the original oilseed rape. So we have rapeseed here in the UK, although I believe we may also grow some varieties of canola as well. But they are essentially, they're now 2 separate plants. Or technically they're 2 separate plants. That being said, despite them being 2 separate plants, the entire collection of those plants, the entire family, in Canada and the US, and I believe in Australia as well, actually, are all collectively referred to as canola, whereas here in the UK, I believe in parts of Europe as well, it is referred to as oilseed rape or rapeseed. I know China still refer to it as rapeseed, but they use the slightly more bitter flavoured plant that we tend to use here in the UK, as opposed to the one with the bitterness that has sort of been bred out of it. Now, that was the last little bit of reading that I did on the differences between oilseed rape and canola plants. I don't know how up-to-date that information was. So there may be some slight changes to it now, but as far as I know, canola is actually a separate variety of oilseed rape that is largely grown due to the preference in Canada and the US for something with less residual bitterness in it. So there we go. We've learned something new. I learned that not very long ago, actually. I was reading up on it somewhere. I can't remember where or when, to be honest, but I do remember reading that it's the US and Canada that have largely led the way in that selective breeding program. Now, there was some genetic modification with it, which is like a lot of the world is immediately put off by genetically modified crops. But for the most part, I believe canola was just selectively bred and it wasn't genetically modified. So it is being used in other parts of the world, but how widely I don't really know at the moment. Okay, I've done almost enough baling just for a minute. I did say I was going to break this up by going and buying cows, but before we go and buy cows, we need to go and buy our new fertilizer spreader, which means that we need to get our old fertilizer spreader back to the shop. Now, I'm wondering how much fertilizer I've got in it at the moment, because that means... Oh, actually, no, it's easy enough to empty that one out, isn't it? And it's also quite light, so we'll be able to use the electric tractor to do the emptying out. I think we will tidy this up. Now, I did say that I thought that we would finish the baling today. I didn't promise that we would finish the baling, and... I don't know, we might do. We've got a little bit of... crop over there, a little bit of grass on the ground that we didn't actually get raked up properly. So we'll need to do a couple of passes up and down on that. Either that, or we have to go and hitch up the rake and drag it all the way back up here. I don't think it's worth doing that. So we'll run all the way down across here, and then when we've got to the end of this row, we can go and deal with a couple of other things, just very quickly. We want to get that fertilizer spreader hitched on to the IMT, the small electric tractor. And then once we've gotten that one hitched on, we can empty out the fertilizer into the yard there somewhere. Then we can have the people from the dealership, they can come along and they can come and collect the, the fertilizer spreader. And they can take it back to the dealership and we'll see what kind of price they're going to offer us. So we will bring you up to the top of the hill up here, and then we will jump down here and we will see this one. So we need to start you up. We'll lower it down like that, and we will unhitch that one right there and leave it there for a minute. We will drive our silent IMT. You can see right here, if you look at that hitch on the back, that is not Massey 35. That hitch right there in the middle, just above the level of the center axle, going across there, that is not something you'd find on a Massey 35. That's an Eastern European hitch. We don't have in the UK. I've gone over hitches before. I've talked about hitches, but we don't have those hitches up there. I've seen quite a number of mods and machines where the hitch is above the PTO, and that is an Eastern European thing. I believe that it is also in parts of mainland Europe as well, but it's not something that you see in the UK. That is definitely not a UK thing where you have the hitch above the PTO like that. The hitch is always where the other hitch is on there, below the PTO shaft. It wouldn't be quite as high as that one. That one's actually touching the PTO shaft on there. You wouldn't actually have it quite that high, but you do have them quite a fairly long way up. Right, we'll move this one back over here out of the way. I'll just go and put it over here in front of the worker's house over there. Right, and now we can look in on our map. We can zoom in a little bit like this, and I got to find... Where is it? Really? Ah, there it is. Right, reset. We want to set that one back to the shop. Yes, okay. And then I can actually go to the shop. You are doing a wonderful job. I tell you what, before you quite finish that bit over there, we've got the reason that this one's turning the way it is almost definitely because of this road sign that's right here. So we will just do this, and oops, we seem to have accidentally knocked over a road sign. I don't know how ever that could have happened, considering that I've already knocked that thing over 2 dozen. I tell you what, right, for a really remote area that we live in here, there is a council worker. Well, I don't know if you're a road worker. I don't know if you guys have council workers as such in the US. We certainly do in the UK. You have council workers. They're the ones that work the roads. They work for the local council. They do the roads. They do the road signs and stuff like that. So I'm going to assume, as the US equivalent of council worker, you have got a very diligent council worker that lives in this area somewhere. Because no matter how many times we knock that sign down, he's always on the ball, and he's very quick to get the thing put back up again. He's extremely quick to come and re-erect the sign every single time we have knocked it over. I mean, I'm starting to think that maybe he's on piecework, so he's just waiting for it, and then he can put a bill in every time he puts the thing back up, because he's very particular about making sure that sign is there. I mean, it's not the most convenient of things for us, because we don't actually want the road sign there. It's right in the way of our field, so we'd rather get rid of it. But, yeah, well, there he is. He's diligent as ever, and he keeps going with it. Right. this tractor, actually, I just need to leave it there because I need to use that tractor again in a minute. But before we go and do that, let's go in here. We're being offered $4,009 for the Kverneland Exacta EL. Let's sell that bad boy right there. Yes, I do want to sell. Then I need to go into the shop, and we would like to buy some fertilizer technology. Now, we could get one of these great big ones. That coon spreader right there is 3,200. It doesn't take any lime, and it's set at 24 meters of spread. This one, however, the Axis 40, that's the Axis 40.2. This is the Axis 402 plus. This is the bad boy that we want. This is absolutely wonderful, this thing. So first up, we do want the anti-mud guards hanging down on our machine like this. We would like a cover on our machine hanging over the top of it like that. We want transport wheels underneath so that we can lay it down on the ground and we can still move it around. I love the detail of this. Look, it's even got a little chain hooked underneath the PTO for holding that in place when you've unhitched it. The number of farms you go to where the PTO is just draped down on the ground, it's not tied up out of the way, that gets rusted. It basically gets grown over with grass, because these are always left outside. It gets grown over with grass covered over, and then it rusts away and eats away. And here they've got it on a chain up out of the way, and you get a lot of new machines that have these chains and that on them, but I don't see it very often on the mods where the PTO is chained up out of the way. I think that is brilliant. That is a beautiful, beautiful bit attention to detail right there. And we'd like an extension as well. So we've got a slightly bigger extension there. It's got an aluminium extension on it. It would probably stainless steel. No, it would be aluminium. That'd be aluminium up there. 1900, and then we've got 2700 with another extension up there. An even bigger extension up here, 3200. It's probably aluminium still. It's just been painted this time. We will go for 3,200 litres with the anti-mud guards, with the wheels, with the wider spread on it at $20,900. Yes, we definitely want to buy that bad boy right there. Excellent. That is fan-schmastic. Now, unfortunately, that does mean that it's going to eat into our money a little tiny bit, but I'm okay with that. I am actually okay with that. I don't mind that we're going to lose a little bit of cash from it. It's something that I can live with. Now, do I put this one onto that trailer and ferry it back like that, or do I run it through with the case? I'm going to put this one on the trailer because this case only does 26 miles an hour. The lorry goes a fair bit faster than that, and it won't take very long for us to hook the thing up. So we will load him up there. We'll bring the case over this side. We're going to have to move fairly soon. We're going to have to use the dairy tanker over here and start doing some tankering. But that's not what we're going to get to today. So next up, we want to go into here. I did say that we would buy some cows in this episode, but we're not going to do that today. We're not going to buy more cows yet today. We'll end up probably in tomorrow's episode buying some more cows. But we've got a few other things. We do have to make sure that we keep a small amount of money back. Right, if I do that there, I've then got that one out of the way like this, and I can start driving over to our farm. I did say I want to keep, well, I didn't say, we do need to keep a small amount of money in reserve for various different purchases that we're going to need to make over time while we're doing our planting. So I can't go and spend all of our money at the moment on cows. We need to keep money back for fertilizer. We need to be able to put lime on the field. We need more fertilizer still, although I'm thinking that one thing of fertilizer here would be enough. If we filled this one up with 3,200 litres of fertilizer, that would be all we need. We've also got some lime that we need to buy and spread across our field. We're going to need to buy seeds so that we can go and plant our next crop, which we are going to do the canola. We are going to plant the canola this time, I think. We've got beans in storage. I think it wouldn't hurt to have a bit of canola. We got 60-odd thousand litres of wheat plus barley as well in storage, so we're not exactly short of basic cereal crops. And we've got, well, we can't grow corn. We can't grow corn this time round because we've got a basic rule at the moment that we cannot have two crops in succession. So we're going to plant wheat. Not wheat, sorry, canola. We're going to plant canola. And then after we've done our canola crop, we will go back and we will plant corn again. We're definitely going to need more corn. We're going to need loads of that in order to keep our pigs fully fed. It's going to be a little while before we actually start buying our pigs, but not as long now as I thought it might have been, because I was thinking it was going to take ages to sort the cows out. But we've already got 60 cows, and it's not going to take that long to build up more. So that we've, like, when we reach, like, say, 150 cows, I think we could start getting a few pigs and allowing those to start building up as well. Because 160, 150 cows should bring us very close to the point where we don't need to worry about buying any more. Because they'll be breeding, they'll breed fast enough that we will be able to take the herd all the way up to the maximum of the 200 that we're going to need. Our biggest problem with the cows is going to be finding all the food for them. I'm not entirely sure that we're going to be able to feed them all that easily. Oh, I suppose we could. Wait, why have you... Oh. I was going to say, why have you stopped? You shouldn't be stopped. I haven't seen any messages saying hired help has completely failed once again and needs to be fired so that we can make room for somebody that wants a job. But no, they haven't done that at all. They are still going. He was obviously just paused and making sure that everything was tickety-boo on the back of the plough before he carried on and did the next little bit. So I'll bring you into the yard down here. I'm not going to reset or change anything just for a minute. I'm going to bring that one round there and we will unload it. I'll bring you to there. We'll go to that point right there, and then I will unhitch that bit like that. And I will move this one around over here, so then we can unload it a little bit later on. Right. We're back on the baling in a minute. Not quite yet. I'm going to bring you over to here. How are you doing? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually manually do this myself, because what we're going to end up with is not quite able to get the entire edge of the field over here. But I have run out of time, so we'll end up sort of starting this off in the next episode, I think. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.